How's it going? This is Anthony. I'm going to teach you how to make enchiladas. It's super easy. Really just kind of follow instructions on the back of the packages of different things. It's not like made from scratch. I mean, kind of made from scratch, but not really. But that's not really the point. The point is, I'm showing you how to make this, and I'm not really showing you how to make this. I'm actually showing somebody else how to make this because they don't know how to cook for themselves. Don't tell me that you do because I know that you can't. And so, here we go. We're gonna make enchiladas. First thing, step one, here we go. Ground beef. I bought 93.7, not for any specific reason, but yeah. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna brown the ground beef. I know, interesting concept, but here we go. So we're gonna turn my oven on to high, and I realize you can't see my pot, but I promise you it's here. And I'm using a pot rather than like a frying pan or something like that because it catches the grease so that the grease is not just splashing out everywhere. I realize I'm not even looking at the camera, but who cares? I was looking at my fish tank because the eel, I have an eel and he's out, and that's besides the point. ADD kicking in. Here we go. So we need to cut open this package. So we're going to get a little knife here and just cut open the package. Like I said, this is not like any kind of professional. Like I said, it's not like any kind of professional cooking, how to cook. This is more like you're at home and you want to make enchiladas. And really, all you got to do is go to the store and buy the package, the sauce packages, and they'll teach you how to make it. But I wanted to make this video anyways, so I'm really close. Now I'm not so close. Now you can see my whole face. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this in here and brown it up. And yeah, we can watch me brown the meat. Brown my meat. That's weird. Okay, here we go. Okay, once you have browned the meat, as seen here, brown meat was pink, now brown. Brown the meat. If you buy meat that's, got a lot of fat in it, you can go ahead and drain off all the grease now. This 93.7 doesn't typically have a lot of fat in it, so it doesn't look like there's a whole lot I need to drain off. So what you're going to do next, so step 2, is we'll add the taco seasoning packet, which, not like product placement or anything, but the one that I bought is this Taco Bell original taco seasoning. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. You can really buy whatever you like. It's all personal preference. I like the Taco Bell seasoning. I can make it from scratch. I can make seasoning from scratch, but for the sake of this, Taco Bell seasoning. Taco Bell. Just, their food's good if you increase the meat quality. So there we go, Taco Bell. So here we are, we're adding our seasoning to our meat that's been browned, brown meat. I know, shake, all this shakiness. And then we will mix it up, and it's really hard to hold the camera. I realized that I could have like a GoPro or something like that, but I don't have one of those, so now we're just mixing it and holding the camera with one hand, and I'm going to put the camera down and finish mixing. Like an optional step 3 if you want. Most enchiladas that I've ever had at a restaurant don't typically have rice in them, but I like to put a little rice in mine, especially if I have any leftover rice, and being a good Asian, I always have leftover rice. So this is just regular white rice. Obviously, Mexican food typically has different rice than white rice, but I'm gonna kind of spice this up a bit. I'll show you what I add, a couple different things. Again, this is like optional. It doesn't really affect whether or not your enchiladas are good, but it's a good addition. So we'll start with some white rice back in a pot, mainly because I only really want to wash one pot, so here we go. So the first thing I'm going to add is this tablespoon of butter. And I'm gonna cook this all in like a medium to low heat just because there's a lot of things I have to add. But first thing I'm gonna do is melt down the butter and kind of incorporate it in with the rice. Next, I'm gonna do like a splash of olive oil. Now, I don't really have any exact measurements because I've never really cooked with exact measurements, because when I was learning to cook, my dad never taught me to cook with exact measurements. He kind of just taught me to cook by feel. So I did a splash of olive oil just to kind of get this rice cooking a little bit. I mean, it's already been cooked. This is leftover rice again, so I'm waiting for my camera to focus. There we go. There's the leftover rice with a little bit of olive oil. Again, I have a lot of things to add. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cumin seed, or just regular cumin. That was really loud. Focus. Again, just kind of do it to how much I feel I want to put in there. And then really what I usually do is add stuff, cook it all down, and then I'll taste it as I go. I don't put a whole lot of cumin because I like cumin just enough, not too much. So that's the cumin. And I'm not going to stir it all in right now. Next, I'm going to do this cayenne pepper for a little spice. I have 2 different peppers that I add. Again, loud, ouch. Cayenne pepper. Let's turn the heat down a bit because that seems to be really going. Next, paprika. I really wish I had a better way to hold this camera, but I don't. So this is what we're doing. Paprika, really for color. And lastly, the chili powder. Again, a little bit of heat, a little bit of flair. And then I'm going to stir it all together and incorporate it, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, now that I've added all those seasonings and mixed it all together, it's starting to get kind of a red tinge to it. I do this next part just because I don't know. I tried it. I liked it. That's kind of all there is to it. So this is one of the enchilada sauces that I have. And what I actually do is I split this package. And I explain why I use this package along with the other 2 sauces a little bit later. But I split this package and I put some of it in the rice. This just gives it a little bit extra flavor and adds a little bit of salt to it. So yeah, now we're going to do that. See if I can do this with one hand. Okay. Got it open with one hand. So now we're going to add a little bit of this seasoning to it. And just a touch more olive oil. Really can be any oil, doesn't have to be olive oil. And we're going to mix that all together. And I'll be back when I finish mixing. Okay, now we have our nice bowl of rice, our taco meat, and our cheese. The next thing to do is to make the sauce. And like I showed you earlier, we've got 2 different cans. We've got Old El Paso. I just choose things. I don't have reasons. Taste, I suppose. Old El Paso, mild, and then a little bit of the hot sauce to give it a little flair. And then, like I said earlier, we also have this McCormick enchilada sauce mix. So reasonings. These 2 sauces I really like the taste, but they are not very thick. And I typically like my sauces a little bit creamier, a little bit thicker. And so the enchilada McCormick's mix actually gives the sauce more of a substance rather than just being completely liquidy. So, again, reasons, we're going to do this now. So we've added our 2 canned sauces, and I'm getting ready to add the packet. Why use 2 cans? So I use the big can and the little can, and I use the 2 cans because I like a lot of sauce. Some people don't like a lot of sauce on their enchiladas. I typically like a lot of sauce on my enchiladas, and so I use 2 cans, and then obviously the mix. So put the mix in, and I like to let it come to a little bit of a boil. It helps the mix actually mix in, since the mix is not actually created with the idea of mixing it in with another enchilada sauce. It doesn't always mix real well, and sometimes it clumps. So Kevin decided to call me while I was trying to do this, and since I'm doing it on my phone, that didn't really work. So like I said, boiling it will allow this to mix in a little bit better. It clumps a little bit because the mix is not really made with the idea of you putting it in with another enchilada sauce. So we're going to let it boil and continue to mix, and I'll let you know when it's done, and then we're going to build our enchiladas. How's that sound? That sounds delicious. So it started to boil, and I actually cut the heat to it so that it wouldn't boil over. I'm going to keep stirring it a little bit, but as you can see, it's starting to incorporate quite a bit better, and you're starting to get a nice thick sauce versus the real thin one that we started with. Yeah, and then I'm gonna pour it out and build my enchiladas and throw them in the oven, and it's gonna be delicious. So yeah, we'll be back. So this next part's pretty straightforward. We're gonna take our tortilla here, and we can get a bigger view of it. I just can't really hold it. I don't have enough hands. I don't know how people do this. It confuses me. It confounds me a little bit. So there's our tortilla. We are going to take a spoon, and we will take a little bit of the meat and put it into our tortilla. I suppose I could spin it around so you could actually see what I was doing. So take a little meat, put it in our tortilla, probably more than that, but a little bit more. Okay, put a little meat, get a little bit of the rice on the top, like so. Good job, rice. Yummy rice. Okay, and then we are going to open our cheese. We are going to sprinkle our cheese on, and depending on how much cheese you like, you can put however much you want. And really, there's no like real, again, measurements. Never learned how to use measurements. I probably should, but I don't. There's that. Last but not least, I like a little sauce on the inside, so we'll just spread a little sauce on top. Now this next part is again one of those optional things. Normally when I cook these for my girlfriend, and she likes the tortilla to be a little bit more crunchy, and so I guess these aren't really, I don't know, they're enchiladas to me. So she likes them a little bit more crunchy, so what we're going to do is bake them a little bit before we actually put the sauce on the top. And what I do for cleanup purposes is I use these little tinfoil throwaway whatever things. And so what we will do is we will come over here and we'll roll this guy up. I'm thinking this side is going to be easier to roll from. And it's going to be a little bit messy, but that's okay. So we're going to roll this guy up. And we are going to pick him up and put him into this little tinfoil thing. So we've got one enchilada. All right, and I will come back when I finish making the rest. All right, so here are my 4 completed enchiladas. Like I said, before I put the sauce on, in order to make sure that the tortilla is crunchy, I usually bake them about 5-10 minutes before. I'll bake them for 5 and then check them. And as you can see, 350. That's what to preheat the oven to. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pop the oven open, and maybe if I can, here we go, slide these bad boys in here and shut the door. So they're inside there. We're gonna stop it. I'll bake them for 5 minutes, show you what it looks like. Okay, so as you can see, they're starting to brown a little bit. The tortilla is not quite so soft. In fact, it's a little bit crunchy. You can hear that crunch there, and apparently the timer. So you can see that it's starting to brown. It's a little bit crunchy. I actually ended up doing it for about 8 minutes, since after 5 it was still a little soft. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put sauce over the top. We'll throw it back in the oven for maybe 3 minutes or so. We're going to put sauce and cheese over the top just to kind of melt that cheese down. So I'll show you what it looks like before it goes in, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Okay, there they are, sauced and cheesed. Cheese as you please, of course. If you want more cheese, add more cheese. It just means you have to buy more cheese. This is actually, I broke into my second package of cheese, since the first package, I pretty much used all of the first package to actually fill the enchiladas. The second package, I just used a little bit to sprinkle on the top. So, like about a package and less than a quarter. So that's how much I use. Obviously, depending on how much cheese you want, you add more cheese. That is entirely up to you. So we're going to throw these guys in the oven, and I'll show you what it looks like when they come out. Alright, there's the completed product. It is an enchilada. I'm probably going to pour more sauce over the top. I also cut it open so you could see the meat and the rice and the cheese. Like I said, I'm a big fan of sauce. So that's mine. Enjoy yours.